Hello everybody, welcome to a new video series that I'm going to be starting here on the channel called Behind the Bookbind. If you are already on the newsletter for the Master's Course series, my goal with this series is to give some additional background information about the story, the characters, the creatures, mythology, or the religious magic systems, things like that. And you'll notice I said religious magic system somewhat closely together because that is sort of how the magic system works in my world. It's an interesting take on a magic system, and as we move forward, I look forward to elaborating on that a little bit further. But for this video, I just wanted to discuss what I thought would be a good starting point, and that's to essentially discuss briefly the Ball of Magic, the first book in the Master's Course series. I'm currently working on the second one now. It's called The Light of Hope. I'm roughly halfway through the first draft, and I'm making pretty steady gains regularly. I'm working quite a bit. I haven't crashed out yet, but I'm working pretty hard, probably somewhere in the area of 65 hours a week between work and writing. Now, in the first book, we follow a character by the name of Volier. He's an elf. Predominantly, you're going to see mostly elves and humans in this book. However, there are some special appearances by some of the other races. The book is currently out, so if you're interested, I will put links below in the description so that you know how to access and get a hold of that if you'd like to. But we follow Volier in book one, and he is a solitary knight of the Phoenix, a very legendary order of protectors for the elves, but also for the rest of the world. He has a secret that he has been hiding from people for a very long time. Now, the elves in my world live endlessly, and as a result of that, the elves can live hypothetically forever, though in reality, they will probably either die or ascend. Now, ascension is a whole other discussion point we'll probably talk about in the near future, or in at least a future video. It is discussed in much more detail in book two, much more so than it is in book one. Now, like I said, he is our main character, and we've also got Anarian. She's a human magi. She is a very core character to this series, a very, very large character, though she doesn't get as much page time in this first book as she's going to get in other ones. We also have the bad guy character, right? The Dark Prince character, who is our antagonist. He is leading a dark crusade towards the homeland of the elves, through the homeland of the elves, toward the central city of Valenthraeus, which is the elven city, the city of light, and it's the city where the gods used to walk among the people in the early days, in the first age, roughly in the first 500 years, give or take, of recorded history, which is the period when the elves were formed and the other races came into being, and they spent time along with the different races of the world, teaching them ways of ascendancy, really sort of trying to guide them along the path that they had created for them. And then when the time came, they left. Now you have the gods that I talk about, which we have the twin flames and the masters, which I'll elaborate on in the future. But for now, we'll just keep central to the characters. So Drosias, the Dark Prince, is leading a very dark, gruesome army across the land to take out the city of Valenthraeus. Volier is going to have a decision to make. His decision is quite simple. He either will share the secret and sort of make a decision as a result of that. His decision is going to have an impact on the world and its history. For good or bad, there will be a cost to his choice to essentially share it. And that secret and what that entails will be revealed in book one. There are a few different themes that I want to kind of talk about that this series really embodies. First, I want to share a detail of information that is not outlined specifically in book one. Now, Fall of Magic takes place in the year 499 of the Second Age. The First Age is roughly a period of 10,000 years. And the Second Age is where the Master's Core series takes place. So you are going to get to meet several different races. You're going to get a little bit of insight into the magic system. You will hear about the War of Strife and Sorrow. Strife and Sorrow are essentially the thematic threads that are woven in and out of this series, but they date back to a great war that took place in the First Age, one that you will hear referenced and learn about a good bit in this book. But this book is shorter for a fantasy novel, and it was done intentionally for several reasons. One, this is my debut, and as a debut, I really wanted to ensure that I got this story right. And since I'd never written a novel before, it was more important to me that I focused on telling a good story and telling it right and doing that part right first and foremost. So in this book, you get a couple snapshots in other POVs, but you don't linger there for really much more than one snapshot, meaning you get it for an epilogue or a prologue, potentially another chapter in the book, but the rest of the book follows Valir. Now, I'm saying this because some of you that read it will feel like maybe it's a little bit shorter. Part of me also wanted to keep it will realistically be the shortest book of the series. And part of that is because this book is meant to have a bit of a faster pace than the rest of them because of what goes down. But I also felt like I wanted this book to be, number one, a solid intro into the fantasy genre, so that if someone is not maybe a huge fantasy reader, this would serve as a good entry point for them. It also is a good, less overwhelming book comparatively than book two is shaping up to be, because I wanted people to have a good snapshot of what this world is about and get a good idea about it, have a good entry into this fantasy world I'm creating, but also a good entry into the fantasy genre as a whole. In the future, I plan to go into a lot of detail about some of the different elements of this story, things like the orders of the Knights of the Phoenix, the Orodites, which is the Magi order of humans that you're going to hear about. You will also hear about some other orders, but we keep those less at the forefront in this particular book. But the ideas of hope, the fragility of hope, and the ideas of fate and destiny, these sort of threads in the narrative of strife and sorrow, when you talk about the corruption that the Dark Prince is manifesting, corruption of the Fade, which is essentially a form of a mind virus that also is a physiological corruption. And there's a lot of details about that, but in order to not spoil anything, I really wanted to talk about these things today in some level of detail, to sort of talk about, like, this is what's going on, this is the foundation, the stage that's being set, so that you understand this is what we're kind of going into book one talking about, and sort of how it has far-reaching consequences in the rest of the series. You can check this book out currently if you go to themasterscore.com and you check out the Fall of Magic page. You can check out a book sample. You can listen to the prologue audio from Daniel Ryder. The audiobook is completed. It is also on all audiobook platforms. If you'd like to pick up a signed copy of the book in paperback or hardcover, you can either check out the storefront on the website, themasterscore.com, or the TikTok shop, where I also have it listed currently. All signed copies will come directly from those areas. And I just want to really encourage any of you, whether you're a potential reader, have already read it and enjoy it, and you maybe aren't already in our community Discord, I really want to encourage you to join the community Discord, be a part of the community that's growing slowly but surely. And anyone that takes the time to read my debut novel, I just want to say thank you to any reader, whether you got it as an ebook, a physical copy, the audiobook, or you maybe even got it as an ARC for free to share it with your community as a content creator. I just want to say thank you so much. It means a lot to me. The story is out in the world now, and it's for all of us. So for those of you that decide to take the journey along with me as a new author and to be a part of this fellowship that I'm hoping to form, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, for giving my work a chance, and forward and onward. I hope this is a good start to the Behind the Bookbind series. In the next one, I think we'll talk a little bit more about our main character, Valir. So take care, everyone. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.